What's going on, you guys? Welcome to this episode of Your Fifth Friend podcast, where, as you guys know, we are believers that you are the combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and oftentimes you don't necessarily have the best influences in your life, so we're here to be your fifth friend and provide with the knowledge, value, and hopefully some interesting topics for you to think about and continue to grow and grow as a person. It's Friday. It's 6 o'clock. What's cracking, guys? It's right before the 4th of July.
Yeah.
What's cracking?
Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm feeling good. I'm excited for this podcast. We got a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be focusing a lot on kind of, two, larger than life personalities, I would say, that we'll go into with, business around health and what they've been able to accomplish with their lives. We'll talk a little bit about routines and just things that, we do in our lives to establish consistency. We'll talk about our health and fitness goals, and maybe we'll have a couple stories to share at the end. So, if you want to lead us off, what do we got going on today, Saman?
We're talking about us being influences to other people. That's fantastic. I love what we're doing. There's 2 gentlemen, though, that I have been cockriding for the longest time. Can you guess who they are?
How much of your net worth has gone towards these people?
I have spent product with one of them, not with the other.
Are you going to spend money with the other?
No, but I might spend money based upon his influence.
You're not going to buy his olive oil?
He doesn't sell olive oil.
He's selling olive oil.
Who sells olive oil?
Your man.
Who do you think it is?
Lizard man.
Who's a lizard man?
Come on. We know
These are 2 of the most powerful men in the entire world. These are 2 of the most influential human beings known to man. The amount of brute force that the 2 of these men have between their hands together is something else. And the 2 men we are speaking about today are no other than Bryan Johnson and Bryan Johnson.
AKA the Liver King and the Lizard Man. Outside of their business acumen, which I love, Liver King, I'm just going to go by their nicknames that we gave him, Liver King and Lizard Man. Liver King owns Ancestral Supplements, which does 9 figures a year in sales. Ties nicely to what we talk about.
What?
Selling
liver testicles.
Liver capsules, testicle capsules, placenta capsules, whatever capsules.
Have you eaten any of his testicles?
Oh, if you go to my office right now, his testicles? No. I would like to. Not his pills, never mind. Yes, I have his liver pills. They're fantastic. On the other hand, we have Bryan Johnson, the Lizard Man, founded Braintree, acquired Venmo, then PayPal acquired Braintree and Venmo for $800 million. He came out clean with about $300 to $400 million himself. Now, why do I love these people? It's much less about what they talked about in the beginning, and it was more about the persona that they had. You see this guy that's like 5'7", 5'8", beet red, shirtless, running around, tits out, talking about how he's not on gear. He eats raw liver, raw this, raw that. He was a fucking specimen. I fell in love with this guy. Same thing with Lizard Man. If you look at Lizard Man, he's running around. He literally looks like a wax figure. He's translucent white, face is peeled back. Guy doesn't have a single facial hair on him. And he's like 46, 47 years old. I think they're both, matter of fact, the same age. I think they're like 45, 46. Anywho, Bryan Johnson, number 2, which is Lizard Man, came into my life a little bit later. I wish it was sooner. But Liver King has been a topic of my mind, living rent-free in my head forever.
Who would you rather be between the 2 Bryan Johnsons?
Oh,
dude. You would. I think
that's a loaded question.
You're a Liver King guy. Like, I think you want to live in a compound with like a spear and like that's just eat testicles all day.
I'll probably go with Liver King. I'll tell you why. 1, he's more jacked. 2, he's more tan. 3, lives on a lake. 4, has a jet ski. And 5, loves guns. Lizard Man is more of like a woo-saw, tranquil. That's not my vibe. But I fucking love these guys. What I love more than how crazy and insane they are, and even more than their business acumen, is how incredibly well they've marketed themselves. And they steered on the side of absolute chaos. I wouldn't even call it out of the box. Like, they pissed all over the box. They're all over the place. They are one of ones, piece uniques, but they've garnered the attention of tons of young men. I'm sure a couple of young women too, but I would say, like, if you're between 18 and 35, for the most part, you know who Liver King is. Lizard Man, you're getting to know as we speak because he's making a big push. But like this guerrilla marketing effect has really worked, and they turned people that eat Pop-Tarts and snowflakes all day long into people that are eating raw liver, into living a better life, into probably wanting to take gear. But more than that, going to the gym, being healthy, doing the fucking thing, and making sure that we're doing whatever we can to optimize ourselves as humans.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. If you remove all of the smoke and mirrors, what they're trying to tell you is a really nice thing. I have my own opinions on what I've learned from them. I know that you guys have seen their shit everywhere. What do you guys think about what you've seen thus far?
I gotta zoom in on them one at a time, and like
let's go Liver King.
There's not much to say about Liver King.
The guy's a larger than life personality.
He's just a madman. I have way more to say about the other Bryan Johnson, but we'll talk Liver King first. The guy's living a pretty cool life. Like, he's balling. He's living life on his own terms. He's got his gigantic ranch. He's eating testicles all day, which is his thing. He's got Liver King chef Lionel in the building, who's just there chefing it up for him. Like, lives a pretty like cool, like holistic, if you think about it, life. Like a little bit of steroids here and there, but like I think he's exploded. And I think like for both these guys, what's their way of growth? I think it's like a going against the grain. Like, how do you become? If you just have a normal opinion, nothing's gonna happen. If you have a polarizing thought process, that's typically what creates this like hockey stick growth trajectory that you saw with like both of these characters, where it's like, what the fuck is this guy really doing to be like that? And, you know, people just fall in love with it.
And even if you didn't like what they had to say, you were definitely tuning in for the entertainment regardless.
Yeah, I think the Liver King, the larger-than-life personality, like, he's done a great job of marketing himself, but in my humble opinion, I think he kind of screwed himself over by being inauthentic with who he truly is. He should have embraced the fact that he took steroids. Like, even if
I
you
agree
do,
100%.
Even if he has these vitamins and supplements and he has his own line, the fact that he could have been his authentic self and be that larger than, you know, life personality, you know, take the steroids, whatever you wanted to do in that situation, he should have just been true to himself as to who he is. And I think the people would have appreciated that. He still would have had the chance to be as big as he is. And he probably would have still built a great brand because, hey, despite the things that I do, whether he endorses it or not, he can still be authentic to himself. And I think that some people definitely don't look at him the same way because he was inauthentic. What do you guys think about that?
This is an intangible because we'll never have the answer to this. But if you look at his rise to stardom, he was ripping tits straight off the scene. You couldn't believe the shit that this guy was doing. He had a meteoric growth. Do you think that affected his sales in a major way? Just need a yes or no from both of you for this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did what affect his sales in a major way?
All of the crazy rampant shit that he did with all of his polarizing views and videos.
100%.
Yeah, you never bought his product before then.
I have. Yeah. Until then, I didn't even know what the fuck ancestral living was.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that if he was honest about the steroids from the get-go, that it would have that same type of effect with the meteoric rise that I'm assuming his sales had?
I think if you do exactly what The Rock does or any of these other people, just avoid the question altogether and don't make a statement. Don't make a polarizing statement about you lying. Just avoid the question at all costs and take that approach to things.
He could have taken it that way,
guessing.
for sure. Yeah, he could have taken it that way to avoid the question, to just be authentic. If someone brought up in conversation, he could have had his personality around it. Would you like to know? Like, he could have had his own way of, you know, talking about the topic without giving the direct answer. People could have made their own assumptions, but I personally, like, whether he does steroids or not, I think he's done a great job from a business and branding perspective, and you got to respect that from an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. He did sway the opinion of a lot of young men. Like, my brother's 16 years old. I know that he was just as much in love with Liver King as I was. And after he got caught with gear, like, the first person that texted me was my brother, and he was fucking bummed. Because, like, we are older. We understand this guy's full of shit. But, like, some kid going through puberty, maybe under the age of 18 years old, is looking at this guy and is like, wow, I could really be like that naturally.
Do you think your brother just started slaying raw liver at that point?
Oh, dude, I know he was. Like, he was hitting me up. Like, dude, like, do you think I should actually be eating raw liver, this and that? I don't know if he actually went through with it, but, like, my mom also came through and she's like, why the fuck is this guy inquiring about raw liver with me? So I think the answer is yes.
Jeez.
But changing pace. So that's Liver King in a nutshell.
Yep.
Who I've been recently really fascinated with is Lizard Man. I didn't know who owned Braintree, who owned Venmo, who he sold it to, how much money he made. I had no fucking idea. But through the circuit of podcasts, I saw him on Lex Fridman a couple years ago, but I didn't even know that this is who Lizard Man was. Then I saw him on My First Million. Then I started going down my own rabbit hole, and now I've become absolutely infatuated with this guy. To give you guys a nutshell of what he does, he's essentially trying to optimize not just our health, but our existence as humans. What he does is use himself as a guinea pig with cutting edge technology, checking every single, what I could imagine to be a microbiome or biomarker in his body to see how we can optimize it, what we need to feed our body, how we need to feed our body, what exercises we need to do, what other hormones, vitamins, minerals we need to put in to create the perfect version of ourselves. And this guy literally has 30 plus perfect days of 100% sleep on his Whoop, which is unprecedented. If you look at him, he's anti-aging farther than anybody ever has in their lives. And he's optimized and built essentially like an 18-year-old that hasn't developed growing older. So it's really fascinating to see this from this 45-year-old guy. But what I ask myself is a couple things. One, do we have the resources to do what he does? Two, do we even fucking care to be as healthy as him? And three, what's the middle ground where you don't have to be as extreme as he is, but you could be just as much happy?
I think there's a lot to learn. I think it's a cool quest that he's on, right? He killed the business game, growing Braintree, buying Venmo, I believe it was. Like, it's a massive, massive, accomplishment. And he killed the business game and he was unhealthy at the time. And then after that, he's dedicated his life towards health and longevity. And that's like the game plan. And now what he's running is it's called like the blueprint. And the idea there is he's getting measured on every single one of his vitals. He's got a team of doctors. I think he spends like $2 million a year on his overall health.
That's it.
Has 12 months worth of his entire supplement plan, eats the same meal every single day. So it's an extremely extreme approach. He's trying to work towards 100% optimization, not 99, not 98, not leaving a single stone unturned, but spending 100% of his resources and attention on being as healthy as possible in his eyes, which is based off of the amount of years he's aging in comparison to a normal human. So right now he ages at 70% of what a normal human would age at, meaning that if he's after 10 years, he would have aged only 7 years rather than 10. So he saved a net 30% there, which is great. It's a great quest, but at the same time, it's a little bit intense.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
100 plus supplements every single day, really, really intense. And I'm wondering, what is the MVP of that? What is the 80-20 of what he's doing, which is like the 20% that goes in that yields 80% of the result? Can I just take a Centrum multivitamin and be good to go? Probably not, but I guess what are those big things? And I have things in my life that I do that hopefully is my 80% that will help me accomplish 80% of what the end result is with 20% of the effort. But he's choosing the route of going 100% for probably the purpose of science more than anything.
I agree with that sentiment. I think he's so curious. Here's what's fascinating about science. One person will say something here, another person will say something here. Both evidence will show completely different things, but then the truth lies somewhere in the middle. How many times have you guys heard throughout your lifetime that eggs are good, then eggs are bad, then eggs are good, then eggs are bad, butter's good, butter's bad? That's just a very small example of the infinite up and down resolution, non-resolutions from science. I think what he's doing, which is really cool, is he says, fuck what everybody else has to think. I'm sure that there's going to be opposing views. Nobody's going to agree to anything. I'm literally going to put my life on the line to figure out what works for me. And I'm sure that somewhere down the line with Blueprint, he's going to reverse engineer it and try to make it as applicable to everybody as humanly possible.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I don't think he's solving for happiness. I don't think what he's doing is making him a happier person. I think he's doing things that maybe, he's taking a very extreme approach because he really cares about health. And I don't think that's going to make him a happier person. It may, we may see things that, come to light that will help humanity as a result of him taking this extreme approach. But I don't know if I ever would go to that extreme to, optimize my health. at the risk of, eating the same thing every single day, doing the same exact routine every single day, I think that's very extreme. I think taking an approach to saying, what is that 80-20? What are the things that I can build to my routine, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's, really, trying to, have a clean routine that you can, eat the right meals, you take the right supplements, you get the right, rest before you go to sleep, you're doing those things that you need to do, making sure that you can do that on a more consistent basis. I think that is something that's really, really important that we need to be able to be mindful of. And those are some of the takeaways that you get from a guy like Bryan Johnson, the Lizard Man.
Do you think his pursuit goes beyond his own health?
Yeah.
Like that's why he's
sure.
going so balls deep? I think that the Liver King's pursuit is self-fulfilling. Even though he says, I want people to live better, people are miserable. I agree with his sentiment, but I think that Lizard Man has really given his life. Literally,
he's already made
his mortality
hundreds of millions
line.
of dollars, right? He doesn't need more money, right? He's trying to be able to be the face of health and be able to be one of the top innovators in the world of human optimization. And I think, he is getting in front of a lot of people right now, and he deserves the opportunity to, share his stories. And people don't necessarily need to take his exact reproach, but I do think there is an opportunity where we can learn these lessons about, how to track our daily habits, how to, ensure that we can follow a process and be more consistent on a daily basis. So I think those are some of the things that I take away from, a guy like the Lizard Man, Bryan Johnson. But I think there's a lot of things that you can probably take from the Liver King as well, right? Being able to, show your true personality and, not be that boring, stiff person. Really try to be, your authentic self. And I think that's one thing that you probably see that maybe he didn't do a great job of being that authentic self, but you realize that if he did, he would have been a better version of himself. And I think those are some of the things that I can take away from some of his faults that would make me a better version of myself. And that's how I look at the Bryan Johnsons respectively.
So you see these two guys, you see what they're doing. Then you think of the world of Neuralink that's coming around. You see all the technology around us, and obviously it's more like tech-based software, blah, blah, blah. We're obviously shifting towards a new era when it comes to health that falls far outside what we're used to with typical supplementation, typically eating well, your typical exercise. In the next 10, 15 years, where the fuck do you think this is all headed towards? Are we going to be robots with chips in our minds? Are we going to be injecting ourselves and living in tubes and this and that and trying to live and keep our mortality to be infinite? Like, what the fuck do you guys see as the actual paradigm shift?
I think people are going to be living for a lot longer. I think the world's becoming more conscious. I think one of the best things is we have access to more data than ever before. We can track ourselves with like inexpensive $30 things like a Whoop band over here, where now I get the opportunity to track my sleep, track my heart rate, track my stress levels extremely easily. That with some blood tests, now you understand where your levels are. And it's like this stuff has never been as attainable as it is today to go ahead and optimize your health. Do you optimize at a 100% level? Like Lizard Man? Probably not. I think there's like an 80-20 rule of it, but you have access to do that 80-20 very, very easily. Like I love how data is being thrown into the mix. So like, for instance, based off of your blood markers, based off of your activity level, there's companies now, and based off of like even your DNA, there's companies that are constructing supplements for you to get to optimal levels of whatever vitamins you're looking for, vitamin C, D, et cetera. Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. It's optimization to the point on an independent level based off the data that we have access to. On top of that, you can track the differences. I think we're just going to get more methodical with what it is that we're doing. And I think by you having access to data, you get to course correct yourself. The big things don't change. Eat well, exercise, move your body. Like those
fine-tune from there.
Those are the big, but it's like, how do you, the more that you could pay attention to something and apply attention towards it, the more top mind it is, the more you are going to, advance in that specific topic there.
So you guys both just got Whoops. I know that you guys are tracking everything. You guys are looking at it every single day.
Yep.
It's great to know what the fuck's going on. What differences have you made in your routines to actually follow along with the data? Or are you just looking at it and they're gamifying it and you're like, oh, I'm having a good time seeing what's going on?
I think for me, it brought a couple of realizations to mind. Number one,
Yeah, I was going to say, what are they?
Yeah, I thought like I was getting more than enough sleep, right? But when I took a look at the data, when I'm looking at my actual sleep levels, I'm not getting the optimal amount of sleep. I'm getting maybe 6.5 hours of sleep. And, the quality of sleep can be better. I'm definitely looking at it on a day-to-day basis. I'm trying to keep it to at least that 80 to 85% level. So
what were your numbers before?
I mean, it kind of ebbed and flows. There were days where I'm hitting the 70s, 80s. There were also days where I'm hitting the 30s.
Jesus
right?
Christ.
And it's a matter of, making sure that you have that routine where you're not trying to go to bed, 12:30, you're not still on your phone, just kind of, scrolling through social media, LinkedIn, whatever it may be. You want to be able to have that routine so that you can set yourself up for success the next day. And I think that is just like one of the big realizations for me. Routine and consistency impacted over time. That 1% better rule really needs to be more mindful for a lot of individuals, myself included, right? For me, I'm very much in the, stages of my journey where I know I need to get better. I want to be able to be a more consistent version of myself when it comes to, the food I eat, when it comes to being, even more consistent at the gym, being able to do, more cardio during the day, doing the things that I know I need to do, but having a way that I can keep that top of mind and I never forget that doing these things consistently is going to make me a better version of myself in all aspects of life.
What are 3 things that your Whoop has given you that you've taken actionable changes on?
Sleep.
For both of you.
For sure, sleep.
But be more specific. Like, how has your sleep changed?
How has my sleep changed is being more mindful to go to bed earlier, right? And as a result of going to bed earlier, I'm having a higher quality sleep because I'm able to get enough rest. I'm already waking up around the same time each day. That hasn't really changed.
So that's good.
Whenever I hit the pillow, my head hits the pillow, I fall asleep pretty easily. So I've always thought to myself, I do get really good sleep, but being able to go to bed too late and waking up at the same time, I'm not getting enough sleep.
Right.
So as a result of it, I am, kind of really stretching that along. So sleep has definitely been one of the big takeaways. I think number 2 for me is I want to be able to do more walking. Right? I work in an office, I'm grinding about 12 hours a day.
Stiff.
I'm still going to the gym. I'm getting my lifts in and, I'm trying to, break a good sweat during those sessions.
Yeah.
But I also need to do things that are going to just help my heart. So being able to, go for a nice walk towards the end of the day during the weekends, really being mindful of, getting that extra walking in has definitely been one other thing that I've been paying a lot of attention to. So for me, those are kind of my 2 takeaways. Ashkan, I know you have the Whoop as well. What are some things for you that you've taken away?
Come on, Whoop man.
I got you right now. Sleep efficiency. So
you like how you did this to the
my thumb. I'm counting here. All right. I have my metrics right over here. Sleep efficiency, so the amount of time that I'm sleeping, I need to make sure, like right now, last night, I slept for 6 hours and 35 minutes. My average is 7 hours and 12 minutes. Should have done better than that. That's one piece of the puzzle. Don't need to dive too much into the deep metrics there. Number 2 is how many calories I'm burning on a day-to-day basis, which I think is an important factor. Might not be 1,000,000% accurate, but you can actually see how your activity from your workout goes in and impacts it.
Can you plug in your calorie intake to see how that data goes back and forth?
Your intake that you'd manage on a different app, but okay. I can see like so far today, according to this, I burned 2,148 calories. I've been to the gym twice today. It makes a lot of sense. I'll probably get close to burning 2,800, 3,000 by the end of the day. Jeez. And then I can just track my meals and be on the same page there.
Yeah.
I think this is it. And then the third one that I really like is the intensity of your activity. So based off of your workout, I can take a look at how intense my workout was, and it'll actually showcase my heart rate throughout the entire workout. And you can take a look. Were you being a little bitch today? Were you in zone 2 the entire time, which is like talkable, or were you in zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, where zone 5 is like 170 beats heart rate, like
ready to have a heart attack?
Yeah, like extremely. Like I was in it for 17 seconds today, according to my workout, but I was in 9 minutes of zone 4, which is really, really high. And it's like getting to that level and gamifying the process of like pushing yourself so hard. So when you're in a workout and you're going hard, like, all right, I'm probably not at zone 5 right now. Like, I could actually push my body further than this, because ultimately how do you advance in life? You do hard shit. Everyone understands do hard shit. And oftentimes people think that going to the gym is just enough by, walking in, doing 3 sets of this, 3 sets of that, whatever it happens to be. But that's all good, like cosmetically, but you got to do hard shit. That's really not that hard of stuff to do. You know what I mean? How do you really challenge yourself? Because if you really, really challenge yourself mentally, like you're very capable of progressing more and more and more. And then those things about being able to move like that will carry on with you in various different directions of your life.
What you're talking about right now is pushing yourself to be better. And I love that. You innately have to suffer to improve. I think we can all agree with that. I think the science is going to get so good in the next couple of years that people are going to try to find the easiest way possible to achieve that while doing the least amount of effort. And I think that that's going to be a major problem, even if the overlying effects of it are good, because you're just making softer men and women that are going to rely on bullshit to make themselves feel healthier on a quotation basis. I think Ozempic. You guys know what that is?
No.
Oh my God. Ozempic is this new pill that has been created that's like really effective in weight loss. And you see celebrities taking it, tech goons taking it, Silicon Valley taking it. It's all over the place. So people are starting to subsidize really good and much needed exercise and eating well with this Ozempic, because it's literally like a little worm in your stomach that just sucks away all of your fat, all of your weight. But I think to myself, this is new on the market. It's being marketed to everybody and their mother. They're saying, oh, celebrities are taking it, this are taking it, that are taking it. Very easy to get prescribed. Think of Adderall. Think of Xanax.
Sure.
It's just like you go to a doctor, they give it to you. What more negative effect is that going to layer on top of everything else with everything else that's going on?
Just get gastric bypass surgery, dude. Why don't you just do that?
Yeah, I think it's going to create a
like
lot
a hair
more
away from that.
It's going to create a lot more soft people, as you mentioned earlier. You're not solving for being able to be a better version of yourself if you're just taking a magic pill, right? You don't build a discipline to actually do things that will help you be a better, husband, a better wife, a better entrepreneur. You're not doing the things that you need to do in order to be a better version of yourself if you take the easy way out. There's a lot of things that are learned by embracing the suck.
I agree 100%. It's just a weird time that we live in. Speaking of weird times, speaking of life, speaking of mortality, this is a great segue, by the way. You were bitching about life insurance a little bit earlier.
Life insurance is fucking stupid.
Talk to me about it.
Do you know what life insurance is for?
Tell me. I heard Neil Patel talk about life insurance like it's some type of stock portportfolio, and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on here.
Life insurance, I don't know much about it, but it's just a fugazi. It's like you literally having a financial advisor like, you're going to die one day, right? And, what about your family? What are they going to do? And it's like, I have assets, I have cash. And it's like, but you don't have enough. So you have to go and put money into life insurance. So it's literally insurance that you're not going to die. And if you do die, they can go get a lump sum after it. And apparently there's 2 types of life insurance.
3.
And this guy, I'm going to give you my understanding, and he knows more about this stuff. So my understanding is there's something called term life insurance, which you can just go pay just like car insurance, whatever, and you're kind of insuring yourself. Cool.
I think that's what my mom has, but go on.
Which sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty normal. What I was just pitched on pretty recently is the other type, which I don't even know what it's called, but it's like, you got to get a $3 million life insurance policy. And with that, you got to go and, put a shitload of cash into it, where only 20% of it or so is actually the cost of life insurance. The other 80% is kind of like a long-term stock portfolio for you, which is kind of what this goes into.
That's what Neil was talking about.
Which grows, and I guess it compounds tax-free. But you can't take the money out of it until you die.
But you could borrow assets against it, right?
All right. Whenever you hear someone talking about borrowing against life insurance or borrowing against anything, it's all fugazi.
Am I just a jackass for bringing that up?
It's just fugazi. I've never borrowed against any of that shit. I think it's fugazi at this point right now.
Was somebody that was selling you on this a fatso, by the way, trying to sell you on life insurance? Like
he was
the frame of this person.
He's not wearing a Whoop band. He's not. I could imagine he's not going super super hard in the gym. Great person, great head on their shoulders, but I don't think they're not my pinnacle of health.
Yeah, and I think what I would talk about with life insurance, and I don't necessarily feel the same exact way that both of you guys do. I think
I don't have a feeling. Yeah. I'm totally in the middle. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, I'll speak to him
I
specifically.
want you to sell me is what I want.
I'm not going to sell anyone. What I'm going to tell
Fun
you.
fact: he used to work at New York Life, his first job out of college.
Oh, so this is a biased conversation.
Very biased.
This
How
guy's
many-
still getting retainers.
How many sales did you make at New York Life?
A global amount of sales of 2 policies.
Manufacturing, how much cash in the bank?
I don't remember.
Over $1,000.
Let me get to the point. who cares? Like I built businesses. I'm good there. So listen, when it comes to life insurance, I think number one, you can't take your education from one person, right? If you're talking to one person about what life insurance is, you're not having a true spectrum of what the solution can provide to you and for your family. I think life insurance can absolutely be a good thing depending on what events of your life are happening. If you just had a child, it probably makes sense to have some type of protection. If something happens to you, right, you're not just going to rely on the money that you've accumulated up to this point. You need to have some type of protection towards that. Also, let's say that happened to you. What happens to the company, right? If life insurance can also be owned by a corporation, I need to replace you in that pace. Who am I going to bring in and to replace you, right?
You're looking at him.
Right? I got to bring a couple people in to replace one guy like this guy. So life insurance.
Did you just fractionalize me? You just fractionalized
Saman,
me.
you could replace me. It's okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. He'll replace you. Anyways, life insurance is definitely not a fugazi. I think it can absolutely be used as a tool. Now, would I say, are you fully educated on it? No. Am I a complete expert in it? No, I'm not. But what I would recommend for you or anyone to do is become educated. Watch some YouTube videos. Do your research. If you're gonna learn about something and you're gonna form an initial opinion, that's not really you being able to make the best decision.
Term life or investor life?
I think based
Term
on
is the first one. Second one is you put money
based
in.
on where you are in your life, I would go with a whole life insurance policy. I wouldn't go with a term life insurance policy. If you're someone that, maybe you haven't accumulated wealth, you're kind of growing in your career and you want to have that protection, term life is a lower cost solution in the interim. Long term, it makes sense to have some type of whole life insurance. Yes, it can accumulate cash value, but it's not about the cash value while you would get a whole life insurance. You want to be able to make sure that you are protecting your family. If something does happen,
Then why not get a term life?
because term life insurance is kind of a temporary solution. You're not, at least you'll be able to have, cash value accumulate. So it's more fiscally, achievable and responsible for you to have a policy like a whole life insurance policy. My recommendation for you, because I'm not the expert, do more research, maybe talk to a few more people about it before you form an opinion.
But if you could give me the layman terms on both, because now I'm confused on
Term
what does
life is
what.
you're just paying for it. Think of it like car insurance. You pay for your car insurance. You don't get in a car accident. It's their cash
Correct.
over there.
That makes very
you end up
easy
getting
sense.
into a car accident after you cancel. You're fucked. It's been over at this point. That's term life. Whole life apparently is the next one over, which is like more of like a long-term thing, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And you put way more cash in, probably like 5 times the amount in, but a large portion of that is kind of like a long-term investment, right? I think what it sounds like is the gains from that typically are like should be equivalent to what you're actually paying out as far as your insurance portion. So you maintain this as like a long-term portfolio almost for yourself.
It sounds like a fucking IRA.
So when do you take money out?
Is that what it's like?
I think so.
I mean, another thing that you could also do and to think about is...
This is the third one that you were talking about?
No, I'm not even talking about... That's universal life, which is kind of a blended. But what I was going to say is when you are getting any type of insurance policy, if you're really thinking about like, hey, what is going to present the most value, even if you did get a term life, what you can do is whatever additional proceeds that you would put into, a whole life policy, you can replace whatever you do in a term life with investing in real estate or investing in something else where you can actually maximize the dollar value. So that's another way to look at it. But not every single person knows how to maximize their ROI to that level.
So if you have outside investments, you're always investing, then maybe a term life makes a lot of sense. Because the way I look at this whole life is like, I don't know when I could ever take the money out. I think it's when I die, it's like it just compounds more is what I think it ends up happening over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I can loan against it, allegedly.
It really sounds like an IRA to me, and I absolutely hate IRAs.
That you will never be able to access in your lifetime, though.
And what I could access when I'm 65, but by the time I'm 65, I might as well be fucking jerking off and kicking rocks anyways. It doesn't matter. Like, this is something set, I'm assuming, for your family to come or generations to come. I get that. It's a noble cause. But for me, when I think about it, and there's two pools. There's a normal civilian that has a 9 to 5, and then there is the other subset, which are businessmen, businesswomen, the people that are making money. They have different levels of wealth. Why would I put it in there when I have enough trust in myself and my stock portfolio and my already whatever the liquidity is to just compound that on my own? Why do I need it to be over here? I could just create a trust of my stock portfolio, and when I croak, it passes on.
I think
What
it's
is the
another
fundamental
level
difference?
I think it's just another level of further diversification. It's kind of like an IRA, but it comes with this death benefit in the event you fall off a cliff type of thing.
So you're double dipping in that regard.
I don't know. I don't buy it. Not for me. But who knows?
That's the name of the game.
I don't have a kid. I don't have a wife.
I'm just
Maybe
worried
my
about,
feelings are gonna
like,
be
dude,
different.
I piss off my wife, Diana. She comes at me, hit woman game. Makes it look like an accident. Next thing you know, she's bawling. Who knows?
I mean, she would go to jail if she was convicted in that example.
She lives in California. She could do that right now.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to fucking kill you to do
True,
that.
that's
She'll
fine.
take 60% anyways. Shout out to Diana. Not that she would.
Diana's the goat.
I don't know. This is weird to me. I think that people like making these complex instruments to finesse people for a commission rather than really caring about what's good for them.
I felt
That's a
finessed.
story of life for me.
I feel like I was on the track to go and get finessed from this conversation over there. It was all about, like, dude, you need to maximize whatever you think you need to put into this. You need to triple
You need
it.
to put quadruple X.
Triple that shit.
Minimum. So are you going to do it? That's the question. Or is he going to force you to do it?
I'm not going to force
I'll
him to do anything.
probably do it, but I will probably do it at a lesser rate than the tripling that I thought it was, and might just double what I originally wanted to do and call it a day at that point.
So you wanted to start at round 1. He wanted to get you to round 3, and he pitched you on getting to round 2.
You can always increase it over time.
Or decrease it.
So did you get sold is what I'm trying to find out.
I'm not sold yet, but I will get sold. There's also like these, like,
If you will get sold, you're sold.
Yeah, I can change my mind though. There's also these things you're at, like, it's called like a 529, which is for like kids school, which is like an interesting one where you put cash into it. It's like an education account for kids. And what it is you put after tax dollars into this thing for a kid, and from there it compounds tax free. So the money that gets compounds, it's kind of like invested into the whatever, like the S&P, or you put whatever you want into, or you make a target date or something like that. And it'll continue to compound tax-free as long as it's spent on education.
So it doesn't have to be university. It could be private schools.
It could be private elementary school. It could be college. It could be all of the above.
Could it be self-education?
Probably not. I think it needs to, like, qualify for under.
So this is fascinating. They're pulling on your heartstrings to put your money into this, to have something for your wife, for your children.
Oh,
and then they'll give you a little vehicle if you put your money in here, you could use it on their education.
And guess what? And then you get fugazied into, like, all right, let's go take a look at what education's going to cost. All right, UCLA 4 years from now is like
It's gonna be $400,000.
It's like $300,000 or something like that. I was like, dude, this is absolutely insane. But whatever. Anyways, you kind of do that thing. But guess what? If they don't use it for education, all that cash that gets put in pretty much gets demolished by inflation at that point, because you put it in 18 years ago, theoretically, and then all of those gains that you get, you now need to pay taxes on. So it's just like a net L for the most part there.
I'm so glad you said this. Let me get into a little riff about my quarrel with my IRA. We talked about this, I think, in episode 2, and I was going to say about what happened with my investing.
Here's the time.
Here's just a very long story short. I'll get into the nuance of it later. Started with $10,000 in an options account. 2 years later, now it's about $520,000. Nothing to really brag or boast about outside of it being impressive from like a degenerate trading level. I can't touch that money. I put it into an IRA. I've been trading in my IRA. It's a Roth and a SEP IRA. They're both. Now, I got $520,000 on my hands. Can't touch it, can't do shit with it. As a businessman, as somebody that is also very tolerant to high risk, I would love to be liquid so I could swing my dick around and try to make something of it. Maybe buy a property, maybe invest into a unicorn company, whatever the fuck. I'd find ways to put that out and to see if it harnesses anything back. I can't touch it.
Well, you could technically touch it. There's two things that you could do. Number one, you can borrow against it and use, a percentage of those proceeds. Number two, you can just rip it out and pay a penalty, and then you have access to the money.
Yeah,
so you actually do have two options.
If I took that money out, it would be like a 60 some odd % sting. I have like the
No, I think it's like 20%.
On the
No,
gains, or wait, is
no,
it
no, no,
60%
no.
on the gains or 60% on whatever you pull
No,
out?
in totality, dude, it's not 20%.
Well,
They'll
because you're
charge
talking
you-
about the capital gains, the taxes on it. And you're right. It would actually be much higher than that because it's not your initial value. If it was the initial value, it would be that.
Oh yeah, fuck the
'cause
initial.
you have a ton of gains. That's why.
Yeah.
So just look at how much I have in there. Let's make it easy. $500,000. If I were to take that money out, I would probably be left with 200 grand. I would not do that. But talking to your point for inflation, I did a calculation through this just compound tree thing. If I just put all of that money into the S&P, I never contributed to it another day in my life. By the time I'm 65, it'll be either 9.2 or 9.8 million dollars. Let's say 9.5. Then I calculated inflation to run through all that time. Okay, it'll be sub $2 million
Of what that 9 million truly is.
in today's
Yeah.
right. So I think to myself, there's this money locked in. You look at this big number at the end, 40. Who knows if Bitcoin's going to be the currency and fiat just blows and explodes by the time I'm 65? Who knows? Ain't no telling, right? But they sell you on the story of, oh, you have this financial security at the end of it all. And this is for somebody like me who's really savvy with investing.
Sure.
I would say that out of 100 people, I would be in the top 2-3% of people that are good at what they're doing. Imagine the people that are putting their money in a mutual fund that are close to retiring. Let's say we're in a hyperinflationary period like we are right now. They just shit the bed. All of the money that they contributed in there that they could have lived life with, invested with, experienced with, bought something fun with it, they'll remember as a memory, just like you talked about, memory dividends.
Yep.
Has been locked up in this pool that they can't touch, and at the end of it all, they're still broke because inflation kicked them in the ass. Happened in 2008. It's happening right now. It'll probably happen 4, 5, 6, 7 more times in the future before we're 65. So I think to myself, who wins at the end of all of this? I know that I have a significant amount of money that I can't touch. Luckily, I don't have somebody actively managing it, so I don't have to pay points and fees on them. But they're the ones that are winning. The banks that are using that money that's sitting in there and winning, at the end of it, the only person that wins are the people that have made percentage gains on all of those as funds. That's why I don't like IRAs. That's why I don't like anything like these insurance policies, and why I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to have the discipline, right, of trading, it's way better to pay a little bit of tax and to be liquid, or just continue building it because you have the discipline, versus lock it up, no tax at the end of it all.
The only problem in all of that is you know how to invest. Not that many people are educated or, take the time to actually learn, hey, let's input our money in. What they really should do is just let it ride in VOO and let it ride in, SPY, and just, let your funds grow. And if you did just that and had that money liquid, it probably will serve you better than putting it into a portfolio that you're not going to be able to touch. If your company is, paying for a percentage of it, it makes sense that you can at least get some additional value to that dollar. You can certainly take that direction. But, realistically, you should be thinking about how to actually create an investment vehicle that you'll be able to enjoy during the best years of your life.
I agree with that 100%. And to give you a perfect example of why this is fucked, just to put the cherry on top, you guys put a significant amount of money into some safe vehicle with your investor guy, right? Something that's supposed to bring in like a
Suitman, yeah.
I was about to say his name. Suitman. You gave him a big lump of money, and it's like, okay, we're going to get 3 to 5% on this. It's going to be really safe. Then 2021 and 2022 comes. I bet it took a bigger hit than it would have in the gain side. So, for example, if you were going to gain 3 to 5%, I bet you guys lost 10, 15% on that portfolio. You and I, at the beginning of this year, actually, I think it was December, I said, put $100 grand in TD Ameritrade. You're going to pick some stocks. I'm going to pick some stocks. I'll tell you where to put this stuff in. I bet you gained more with $100 grand put into that account than whatever the amount of money, which I'm assuming is 5, 6, 7 times that, in this investment vehicle, just by being a derp and picking some stocks and holding on to it.
I'm going to report my earnings.
Yeah, I want to see what's going on.
Daily games are on point.
I would say you are at least $35,000 up from 100
Look at
grand.
mine as well.
I'm up 40%.
Look at that. You're welcome. Welcome to Sauce on Stonks, motherfuckers.
Do you want to be my new financial advisor?
Yeah, I'll do it for free. You just got to give me credit.
Let's go.
So what are the takeaways from this conversation? Let's kind of wrap up
here's
here.
The takeaways.
Go ahead.
From the first portion of it. Be healthy, challenge yourself, work hard, get after it. There's no easy shortcut to it. Live a life of optimization. If you're going to get after it, you have one life. You might as well chase it as hard as you possibly can and live as optimally as humanly possible. That's number one. On the part two of it, investment side of things, control your own shit as much as humanly possible. You don't want to be at anyone else's way. Everyone's going to promise you the world when it comes to what your overall investments are. But ultimately, as we talked about a couple episodes ago, you controlling your own cash, you controlling and being able to do your own thing and learning these valuable skills for you to deploy your own capital at your own business will put you leaps and bounds ahead of any other return. And usually a lot of the stuff that a financial advisor pitches you sounds a little bit better than it is in reality. And it's important for you to understand that, have a certain degree of skepticism on it, but just make sure you're progressing forward as much as possible at the same time.
If I could give an investment tip, it's put your money in the S&P. Don't look at it. Don't ever touch it. If you have some stocks that you really like, put some money in there. Expect it to go to zero, but if it goes up, enjoy the fruits and start taking money out at major milestones. At 20% gains, take out 20% of your principal. At 40% gains, take out another 20. So as this thing is riding up, you're securing your money, and then you just get runners at the end. Runners is what we call essentially a free trade. If you could do that and just hold on to something for many, many, many years, that's not some penny stock that Jordan Belfort would have sold you in Wolf of Wall Street, you're going to be in a really good place. I got one more thing to talk about before we wrap this up. Cater to health. I have been bing-bonging back and forth with the idea of being on TRT for a very long time. I want to give a disclaimer. Not you two, but my dear friends that I grew up with. Love them to death. They're all absolute degenerates that have been on testosterone for many, many, many years. If your normal range is somewhere between 600 and 800, these guys have been throttling at 1,300 to 1,800 for the past however many years.
They're going to have to be on it for the rest of their life.
Oh, yeah. There's no way they're coming back. Now, that's not normal TRT levels. They're taking steroid level anabolic abuse of it. But, you two are getting to the age where you're 31, you're 33. You guys are at the point where whether you are healthy, regardless of how well you eat, regardless of how well you sleep, your testosterone naturally is going to come down. There's no way that you could combat Mother Nature. Have you guys considered TRT? Have you looked into what the possible benefits could be? And do you think it's worth jabbing yourself 2 or 3 times a week for the rest of your life to live in your optimal state like Lizard Man would?
Yeah. I think if you need it and you luckily we have access to data and you can read exactly where you stand. And in my opinion, I checked my testosterone a month or 2 ago, 760 strong.
That's really good.
Still doing great. So when it comes down to if I do see that I'm deficient and I'm not at optimal levels, I look at it like it's any other supplement. Unfortunately, that one you would have to jab into your ass cheek. But other than that, it's for the best. And as long as monitored by a doctor and as long as the side effects aren't negative and you're not taking it to a level that doesn't need to be at and you're just doing it to be at an optimized human level, I'm all about it. But only if you're doing all of the other things correctly. If you're jamming a bunch of testosterone up your ass, but you're not working out, probably an L. Maybe you have low testosterone because you haven't moved your ass in a while. Maybe that might help bring it up. If you're eating complete dog shit, why are you you're spending your attention on the 20%, not the 80% that's right in front of you that you can do at any age at any time?
I think it's great what you just said. In a nutshell, TRT rewards people that already behave in the right way.
Sure.
So do good things. This is the cherry on top.
It's
if
not
you're
every.
a schmuck, it does absolutely nothing.
It's just the cherry. It's you can't have false beliefs and think it's anything else. You need to be having a house built on, bricks,
Good
not
foundation.
on cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just throw some shit on top of it, or it's just gonna get even worse at that point. So make sure you're solving for the basics early on and excelling at the basics before you put in some extracurriculars that don't necessarily need to be there.
Do you guys see yourselves in the next 5 to 10 years hopping on TRT?
If my testosterone levels say that I should, then yes.
At what level would you be open to it? The number.
400. Let's say, like, if I don't know what
It's like a prune. A
What's-
prune
I-
has 400.
what's like the
What is when you get to low T?
I say
What is below
at
that?
the
certain mark?
30th percentile of like humanity of like adults? I would probably say.
I think that's around high 4s, low 5s.
My thoughts to this topic are this. If I was in a position where I'm doing all the natural things, right? Natural things to boost my testosterone. I'm going to the gym, getting sunlight, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, doing the things that you need to do to actually live optimally. 5-10 years down the line, if my testosterone levels, and I'm doing all these healthy things, if it's still dropping down below a level, I would absolutely consider it, right? If it's going to help me be a better human and perform better and, be more energetic and be happier, I will absolutely do it. Only if I've taken the steps that I need to take to do the things that I need to do from a natural standpoint.
If it could boost your cognitive ability by 15% starting tomorrow, regardless of where your testosterone levels were at, would you do it?
No.
If you can go to the gym and increase your cognitive ability by 100%, why are people not doing it?
I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking the scenario that you're in right now with your current lifestyle.
No, I think I can do other things more optimally to still get a 15% yield of my cognitive ability.
Correct.
If I just continue to consume more caffeine, my cognitive ability will increase by 15%. If I sleep better, it'll increase by 15%. So I think those are the natural. People doubt the natural pieces of the puzzle there, but it's like if you're looking at a 15% gain, you can do that with probably just staying hydrated.
I like that sentiment. What about you?
No, I kind of I share the same sentiments as Ashkan. I think, you need to take that natural standpoint in my end. I don't want to be able to rely on everything. 'Cause with TRT, once you're on it, you kind of have to stay on it or else your testosterone levels will go down. Before I want to be able to go to that journey, I need to be able to do the things that I know I need to do naturally. If I've done that, then I'm going to be able to hopefully stay at that, solid testosterone level. If it falls and I'm doing the things I need to do optimally, I would absolutely consider it. Right now, to get that 15% cognitive boost, I know there's a lot of things that I can do from a natural optimization standpoint to yield much higher than a 15% net gain. And that's something that I need to kind of continue to do on my journey. But I don't need to necessarily, put, TRT or take nootropics or anything like that to see that gain until I've done the things that I should do naturally. That's my thoughts.
But I'm going to put you on the spot right now. What percent optimized do you think you are?
Oh, wow.
From you to lizard man.
Those are two very
No, you
polar
can't compare
opposites.
to lizard man.
From you to being at a level that you think you should be at.
I think I'm the healthiest unhealthy person ever. And I'll define what that means, and then I'll give you a percentage. I'm really anal for the most part about what I eat. And I say most part because everybody will have an indulgence here and there.
Just slam McDonald's.
But I'm like a big fuck seed oils guy. I don't really fuck with fast food. I want to eat steak all day long. I want to consume a lot of butter. I will only have milk if it's raw milk. I'm that type of gal. You could see that I only like drinking water from glass bottles. I'm a big aquaponic girl. I spend way too much money on water, but I think there's a lot of merit behind it. I sleep well. I go on walks. I get sun. But do I exercise? Absolutely not. When was the last time I was consistently exercising? Probably 4 or 5 years ago, right before we moved to LA. I think in my total potential, I'm probably at like 60%. Between 50 and 60%.
So let's ask that question about cognitive ability before, knowing that exercise can probably take you up about 25, 30% on that. Would you take 15% from just jamming a needle up your butt, or would you go the exercise route to get double the yield? Or would you do nothing?
Or are you happy with where you are right now?
Being happy with where I am doesn't mean that I shouldn't be doing the other things. But in general, am I happy with where I am? I don't think I ever will be. We talked about this before too.
I'm talking about
I'm
being
grateful. I'm not fulfilled.
Happy, not necessarily as a whole. I'm talking about like in terms of your performance. We're being specific to this conversation.
Oh, for work?
From work in terms of what Ashkan has mentioned,
Right,
from a
percent
cognitive,
optimized.
yeah. Are you happy with your level of optimization?
Yes. Could it be better? Yes. To answer your question, I would jab testosterone just for the sport of it. Just out of, I'm not bullshitting either of you, just out of pure curiosity, I would love to be on a cycle for a month and just to see how it feels. And if I like it, just stay there forever. Is that me negating exercising? Abso-fucking-lutely. If I did that, I think I would feel even better than I already feel. But like I wake up and I'm juiced to the tits. I'm ready to go. I still get a hard on when I wake up. My handy dandy morning wood. I feel great. And yeah.
Ashton, what's your optimization score?
Is that too much TMI, by the way?
No, that's perfect. My optimization score.
You know what? I want to bump mine up. I'm going to say 82%. Go ahead.
Wow.
I think that's a little high, but
It's a little high, man.
Who are you to say?
I don't know.
I just see the exercise. Go ahead.
I was going to put a lower level for myself, but I think I'm much healthier optimized than you. So I don't know what to say at this point. I'm going to say 75% for myself, I would say. I think that there's further optimization that I could make to the food that I eat. And I eat pretty well, but I think for me, like I'm very aware that like cognitively speaking, if I wake up, have a shitload of caffeine, which I do, I feel excellent. And then from there, but if I eat any sort of like carbs throughout the day, I end up kind of getting it lowers my energy levels next to immediately. I could do that at night, and I'm okay with doing it at night because I'm not looking at it like a body composition thing. I'm looking at it more so of like just an energy storage thing. If I was to try to get to like closer to an 85, 90% level, I would remove any sort of carbohydrates whatsoever, except for maybe fruits, from my breakfast or lunch or until I'm done working. That way I can be at like a true, like deep level of focus. But when it comes to my level of focus, like I think with a combination of like caffeine, exercise, sunlight, and things like that, and movement, like I think I'm doing that at a really high level. But I think that on a dietary level, not as far as like, again, like eating too many calories or eating bad quality food. I'm looking at really just like an energy level of
dialing
things.
it in.
I think there's an opportunity for me to just remove any sort of those carbohydrates from before I'm done working, and that would help bump that up. And then like, as weird as it is, like I think that nicotine actually helps on a cognitive level 1,000,000%. I don't like consume nicotine regularly. That's probably an opportunity. It's very like, but overall health probably negative, but at the same time for some elements it's good. I don't know. It's kind of a touchy subject.
I could tell you as a man that doesn't leave anywhere without this guy, that is the highest level of nicotine you could possibly buy legally in California. It works wonders. And I think the reason that I'm so dialed in all the time is because of this thing. I truly believe that. I don't drink any caffeine. I have no tolerance to it. Never had a cup of coffee in my life. I'm always just drinking waters and apple juices and weird drinks. The only thing that gets me through the day, feeling 100%, is drinking as much water as I can, and as whack as this is going to sound, smoking my vape as much as I possibly can.
Have you guys heard of mud water?
Yes, I have. I actually had a call with their guy.
I want to try it because I think caffeine, it has a lot of those cognitive benefits, but I don't think it's super healthy for you to drink it at the level that a lot of people do drink it.
They're a nootropic blend, right?
Lion's Mane, Risha, like they have a couple of those. Like I think that is a much healthier alternative to solving for it. Personally, I would try it myself, right? And to answer the question in terms of my optimization level, I would probably give myself like out of a 1 to 100%, maybe like a 35, 40%.
Oh wow.
I'm very like hard on myself in terms of knowing what I can achieve. For me, food, definitely I'm pretty consistent during the week with eating really clean. I have meal prep, shout out to Factor 75. I've been eating it pretty consistently over the last 6 weeks. It's definitely been very helpful in terms of keeping that like daily consistency.
Yeah.
On the weekends, I'll spurge a little bit, but not like overeat. I've definitely, from a food level, I've done so much better this year than I've done over the last maybe 10 years from a food level. So I'm definitely excelling there from a food level. Vitamins, very consistent. Taking, ashwagandha in the morning, being able to take my greens, my vitamins.
Sport Formula.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Jimmy.
Jimmy Deshani.
Love the vitamins, man. I take it all the time. I'm really consistent with vitamins. Working out, I've been a lot more consistent, I would say, over the last probably 4 months at this point. At least 3 to 5 times a week I'm hitting the gym, which is good.
That's great.
Which is good. I do think there's still a huge opportunity for me to level up my workouts. I think, to Ashkan, what he was saying about like the intensity of the workout, I have an opportunity to get better there. I want to be able to walk more, get more steps in, burn more calories on a daily basis. So I definitely see myself continuing to follow the journey, continuing to do more. But at the end of the day, what I do is I don't compare myself to other people. I compare myself to the best version of myself.
Sure.
I think being able to really think about, what do you aspire for yourself to be? If you look at yourself 10, 20, 30 years down the line, who do you want to be for your family? Who do you want to be for the person that you can say, hey, I've accomplished these things in my life. I've been the best version of myself from a business standpoint, from a health standpoint, from a family standpoint. And if you really want to achieve great things, I think you have to be able to look at yourself and compare yourself to the best version of yourself. And I think that's a really great takeaway for us to leave in this pod. What are you doing to be the best version of yourself? And how often are you self-auditing yourself to become that best version of yourself?
I love that. What I've taken away from this is drink more water, smoke my vape more, jab myself with tests as much as I can.
Push it to the limit. If you're not pushing it to the limit, you're being a little bitch.
I was being facetious, but one of the things that I find a lot of candor in is just doing as much as you can with as little as you have. In the sense of like, everything that we're talking about here is a lot of experimentation.
Sure.
And I know that all of us experiment with a whole ton of things. Like, you guys got Whoops. I'm trying these new pills. Like, it's a Huberman stack for sleeping. I'm trying Red Light. I'm trying all these different things to see what works best. Because if I could get that 5%, 10% better and do that over and over again,
yep.
One, it itches or scratches my itch of curiosity. But two, if I could take something with me, that'll be great. I think from a work day-to-day, I love being exhausted at the end of it and feeling like I'm going to melt. That's where I really like to exert a ton of my energy. And that's a place that I like to put myself where I consider suffering. Like, oh, I want to stop work at 4 o'clock today because I'm cooked, but can I push it to 7? I need to be doing more of that with exercise. But if I know that I could throttle myself cognitively that hard every day, who the fuck says that I can't take 30 to 45 minutes a day and do it with exercise?
So it matters of what you're prioritizing.
Yeah, I mean,
if
exactly.
you've proved to yourself that you're capable of pushing to a 10 out of 10 level at whatever you apply yourself to. You just need to prioritize this, and maybe it's now, maybe it's later, but it's just going to take that time of shifting your focus and adding that to be a little higher on the priority scale so you can get after it. But I think that the difference will be known very, very quickly when it does happen, because that's when you can get from whatever percentage you're at now to unlocking a significantly higher level than any other extracurricular activities would get you to.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I'll leave it with this, and then I'll have you do the outro. Whoever thinks that they have an excuse for not having time is absolutely full of shit. I guarantee you that 99.99% of people listening to this, and this isn't to brag or boast, are not as consumed with tasks that they have to oblige to or as busy as we are on a day-to-day cadence. You could figure out time to cook your meals. You could figure out time to go on that walk. You could squeeze 30 to 45 minutes in to go to that exercise.
Yep.
If you're not doing it, it's because you choose to not go. I'm self-aware enough to understand that I choose to not go exercise, but I can. And when I decide that I need to and I want to, I will absolutely open up that time. And guess what? I'll still have another 3, 4, 5 hours of my day that I can allocate to other stuff that I want to do. All of that to say is that all of us have time. You just need to figure it out. But if you make little micro adjustments and stack those on top of each other over and over again, you'd be surprised how far you can go in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Guys, what I'll tell you, we're your fifth friend, and what I'm going to tell you is this. We're not going to sugarcoat shit. We're going to give you the real. We're going to let you know how we feel on a lot of these major topics, and we hope that we're going to be another taste of what reality is and really, think and share ideas and thoughts that I think a lot of you guys are thinking about, but, really putting into our perspective and really, talking about things that truly matter that are going to help you level up and be a better version of yourself, be able to think outside the box on a lot of things, and ultimately just, really live a great and fruitful life. We're your fifth friend. We're the average of 5 people we spend most time with. One more time. We're your fifth friend. We're the average of the people we spend, blah, 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 blah. I messed it up one
Number
more
3,
time.
you got it.
Third time. We are your fifth friend. We are the average of the people you spend the most time with. We're here to be your fifth friend. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next pod.
Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your 4th of July. We'll be back on Wednesday.
Next week.
Next week.
Ready
We'll
to
do
rock.
it.
Love you guys. See you later.
Peace.